Atul,
info.
I have read and I've heard that a lot of individuals who identify themselves as trans have mental health issues. Did your daughter have any mental health issues growing up? Are you aware?
Yeah. In fact, as a teenager, she was a very withdrawn kid. She was not very social. She had a whole lot of flare-ups with her mom. Uh, Also, as she grew up, uh, she got into engineering college. She went to IIT. Uh, she started developing a very severe depression. I think somewhere around her fourth semester, towards the end of the fourth semester, she developed a fairly severe depression, and her treatment started. And after a few more months, when she could hold it no longer, she came out. So uh, she's definitely had those mental health issues. She continues having them even now, although
It's more
with
man.
treatment, with therapy, it's being managed better now. She's functional, she's able to work.
Sure.
But there was a very bad time, very, very bad phase that she once went through.
Could you tell us a little bit about the flare ups at home? One and two, you said when she went to the hostel, that's when the depression came in its full form. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about that picture? What, according to you, or that happened that could lead to anybody's, depression, anybody with a trans identity?
Yeah. Actually, what happens to a whole lot of transgender children when they're closeted, when they haven't come out to their family and to their friends, is a kind of condition. You can call it the imposter syndrome,
Sure.
uh, where they are living as somebody who they are not. And when you live as somebody who you are not, you feel like an imposter all the time, and that has terrible effect on mental health. So I mean, that's the one thing. And then imagine being a girl in your head and having to live in a boys hostel. I mean, uh, you know these boys hostels, young boys, 18, 19, 20, uh, oozing testosterone, I guess, and living among that bunch as a girl, it's not easy. And that too, when you're completely closeted, it's all very complex and takes a toll on a person's mental health. So that's what happened to her. That's what happens to a very large majority, in fact, of trans children. Most of them have mental health issues. I know a whole lot of trans children, and practically all of them have some or the other mental health
I mean,
difficulties.
I can't even imagine, like, one, even if you're not closeted, if you're a woman and have to, stay with a bunch of boys in a hostel, it's difficult. And to be closeted, feeling like a woman, but have to appear, behave as a, man, and then living with men, I can't even imagine that. The kind of trauma
You
it
know,
might be every day.
Also, we grow up in a very cis het world. Everyone around us is cisgender and heterosexual. We rarely get to see queer people when we grow up, and therefore we don't really have an understanding of gender and sexuality issues. We don't understand that there is a spectrum on both. We don't ever get out of the binary thinking. You're either a male or a female, you're a boy or a girl, and there is nothing in between. While we grow up, that's the understanding we develop. And uh, when we grow up and we have these conflicting ideas in our head, when we see when a child is able to see that their body is male, but then they feel like a girl. And often, there are further complexities. I mean, there are transgender children who identify as neither male or female, and so many other nuances to the whole thing, that mental health issues are extremely likely, because we bring up children with a binary thinking in their head. And when they don't identify with that binary, when we grow up and we have these conflicting ideas in our head, when we see, when a child is able to see that their body is male, but then they feel like a girl, and often, there are further complexities. I mean, there are transgender children who identify as neither male or female, and so many other nuances to the whole thing, that mental health issues are extremely likely, because we bring up children with a binary thinking in their head. And when they don't identify with that binary,
then where do we
mental
stand?
health issues
No,
follow.
I think it's an identity crisis because, like you said,
Absolutely.
growing up till I think I started working in the field, I knew only of two genders. Either it had to be a male or a female, and we knew a little bit about transgender people who were born that way, because in India we do have a hijra community who we see on the roads or probably at some functions, and we always thought of them as an aberration at birth, and that's all.
Yeah, I mean,
most of us have.
Yeah, exactly. And most of us actually think of them as being intersex people born with
Yes.
some kind of uh, genetic or bodily defect or something. I mean,
Because that's what we understood from
that's what we are told also.
Yes.
Our parents or relatives, everyone says that these people are born that way, the hijra community people and so on. And as we grow up, I mean, kids are told to be very scared of them. They will take you away if you. If a boy is behaving a little bit feminine, I mean, they'll be told that, see, these people will take you away and so on. So we even grow up in fear of trans people. There's a whole lot of transphobia that is implanted in our heads.
Yes.
And imagine being a trans person having that transphobia.
And that's a fear we grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know where this culture developed in the history, because some of the scriptures of our land have no issues with queer people. In fact, Tulsidas in his Ramcharitmanas even goes on to express with he expresses using Ram as the protagonist, saying that trans people, queer people are as dear to him as anyone else. So our scriptures don't really have an issue with queer people. I mean, Mahabharata has Shikhandi and so on. So कोई वहाँ तो issues नहीं था. I don't know how this came about. Ancient India was probably pretty
liberal
about.
I think they were.
Yeah, I believe it was much more liberal than we are now.
Because if you look at the the drawings, ancient art, we see a lot of what at least I think we can imagine as transgender persons even guarding the gods.
Yeah. Or even gods
oh yes,
presenting as Ardhanarishwar and so on. So
absolutely,
it's surprising to me as to
Shakti, we even worship Adi Shakti.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyways, we were talking about mental health.